All right, so I've been telling myself I was going to do this YouTube thing forever, and I've been putting it off because it's so awkward talking to the camera. But like, you can't get better unless you just put them out there. So this past month has been crazy, so we're going to do a little story time here. It started in the skid steer. I've been doing a project behind where I have the bus parked, the property where I'm parked. I'm trying to get it cleaned up and make a little nature trail or something, a jogging trail. And I was using the skid steer to fill in some potholes because I'm tired of my truck bouncing all over the place. And while I'm in the skid steer, I get a call from my buddy Kyle, and he says, hey, we got a contract job out in Florida. I'm in South Texas. He goes, we need you to get out there quick. How soon can you get out there? So I said, well, let me get things settled, and I'll head out tomorrow. So I'm going around, I'm checking my nature trail. Let's see, how windy is it? I don't know if that's going to affect the mic. So yeah, it's a mess back here. Everyone has everything stored back here. I need to clear out a lot of the weeds. But checking out my trail, I had to leave in a rush, so I left all my groceries still in the fridge. That was fun to deal with when I got back. But let's step into my office out of the wind. I'll switch the mic, maybe we get some better audio quality. So I get all my stuff packed up. I just kind of threw all my clothes and all my gear in the back of my truck. I didn't even pack a bag. I grabbed my backpack and I start heading off to Florida. We were starting in, oh yeah, first let's introduce our crew. So we got, my name is Nick. We got Shay, our fearless leader from Louisiana, who isn't scared to do anything. Man, he's a people person. He'll go up and talk to anybody. If you put an idea in his head and he thinks it's good, he's just gonna go all in. We got Adam. He's a good old valley boy down in South Texas. He's a boat captain at South Padre Island. Welcome. Whoa.
And he's recorded content.
And Roy, who is also a boat captain. Man, we were watching that, what is it? The Wonderful World of the Whites, I think, talking about the hillbillies over and I don't even know what. And I'm sitting there harping on them. And he says, yeah, I'm from Alabama. That's all true. I had to run from that. Jesus, how are those real people? So we got Adam, Roy, Shay, and me. And we're all meeting in Tallahassee. We got an Airbnb, and we're working somewhere around Tallahassee. It was supposed to be for a school. We had a big contract for a school up there, and we were waiting for the contract to finish all the paperwork to go through, so we were just going to find some work in the area. And I guess a little tangent here. I like to scare people. I was a wildlife biologist before this, and if you can sneak up on animals, sneaking up on people is the joke. So it was supposed to rain that night. We're unloading gear from the truck and putting it into the garage, getting ready for the rain. So Adam and Roy finished grabbing everything. I was walking out to get another load, and they say, oh, we got everything. So the garage door starts to close, and my brain goes, and I think it's like 11 o'clock or something at this time. So my brain goes, oh, here's my chance. So I turn around and I run into the back bedroom. So it was when you come in the door, there's the master bedroom, the living room, then there's two bedrooms on the right and the left. The right had a queen, the left is two twins. So I ran in that side and I shimmied under a bed. And I didn't know whose bed I was under because we were still packing up. So they walk in the room and they're talking about, oh, how do you think the job's gonna go? What do we think we're gonna do? And I reach out and go, and I grabbed Roy by the leg. And Roy screams and jumps up and about hits the fan. And he turns around to run out of the room because he didn't know what's going on. Adam doesn't know what's going on either. Adam was standing in the door frame, and he just sees Roy scream and run towards him. So Adam gets ready to try and punch him, and they both are falling on the floor at this point. I'm just laughing my ass off under the bed like a crazy person. But when I got under the bed, I had to lift it a little to shimmy into the bed. So as I'm trying to laugh and shimmy my way back out, Roy goes, hell no, and runs over and jumps on top of it. Now I'm trapped under the bed. And, karma. But so that was a fun start to the week. We ended up helping out. I think it was about a week before we found out about the school job. We ended up helping out this guy named Glenn. He had a long drive coming in with the house on the back. There was a bunch of trees falling over his road. He just wanted us to clear out the road a little bit, make it easier for his wife to be able to mow. He's a Vietnam vet and a retired police officer. We spent about a week there, and as I'm realizing, so I'm an arborist, and we had just gone up there to help for a school contract. So I was going to be doing my thing and everyone else was going to be doing their thing. So as we're clearing out these trees, I'm realizing, man, we're not a tree crew. I'm climbing my trees and I'm hopping around and I'm knocking stuff down. And Shay's playing rodeo in the skid steer, just having a good old time. I'll have to add in some videos of him. Man, he's nuts. Tallahassee was actually really pretty. We went and did some hikes there. I think we did like a 6-mile hike, me, Adam, and Shay. Me, Adam, and Roy. Shay didn't want to go for the hike. There was an owl sitting in the street on the way out. That was a little weird, just kind of chilling there. That was like I hope it was a good omen. I don't know. The river was beautiful. It was I think it was spring fed. It was super cold. But every time, they closed at 7:30. So every time we would get up to the water, we couldn't get in. I was tempted to just jump in and say whatever. What are they gonna do? Kick us out? I think it was one of the first nights too. The guys had barely even met Shay. He said he was gonna go check out a job site and look for something. He's driving in the big old diesel truck with a dump trailer with a skid steer in it. So he's got a lot of weight. He tries to pop a Yui and slides off the road and gets stuck. So I was like, all right, guys, we gotta go pull Shay out. That was fun. We spent a good week there in Tallahassee. And then the whole time we're in Tallahassee, we're cleaning up after Helene. The whole time we're cleaning up after Helene, we're watching the news and we're seeing, there's a tropical storm coming in. It's probably going to hit Florida. And tropical storm keeps getting bigger, and it turns into Hurricane Milton. So we're watching this thinking, man, if this turns into a bigger storm, are we going to go ahead and try and chase that? And all of us agreed, well, the school contract job fell apart. The school apparently lied to us, said there was a lot more work than there actually was. So we were kind of picking our butts trying to figure out what we were going to do. And so we thought, yeah, let's go ahead and chase this. But let's go. It was coming from the Gulf. So we said, let's go on the east side of Florida and go down. So from Tallahassee, after Milton is already heading that way, we start heading towards the East Coast. So yeah, we're going from Tallahassee. We head east to Jacksonville, down to St. Augustine, and we're just trying to see how far south we want to go. And as we're going, it was kind of funny at first because there's 3 of us. So Adam and Roy riding together, I'm driving by myself, and then Shay has the diesel with the skid steer. So we're all driving separate. And geez, for a good 50 miles, it's bumper to bumper traffic on the opposite side of the highway, and then it's like us, a few lineman trucks going to help with power when that inevitably goes out, and the National Guard. And at first it was kind of funny, and then as we're driving along, we're like, oh, we're stupid, we're definitely going in the wrong direction. We check into Port St. Lucie at a little hotel, had a badass key card. Oh man, I have to get that key card and show it. So we're checking, and the night before, this storm is saying, oh, it's breaking all kinds of records. It's a category 5 at 150 miles per hour. This thing's blowing at 180 miles per hour with gusts to like 225. So there's all this talk about, oh, we're going to have to change the category system. This is going to be the first category 6. And so we're thinking maybe we should go a little south. And Shay keeps calling us pussies. And so we're going right out the storm. It's scary. If we're going to go south, let's go all the way south. So we start heading south. And we don't really know where we're going. We're just driving. And then eventually Shay says, I mean, if we're going to drive, we're going to go to the Keys. Let's go to the Keys. So we end up driving all the way down to the Keys. And I'm going down there and we're watching this. And the storm is this crazy. It's crazy. So we're driving down south. Before we get there, we're all kind of stressing about this storm. We don't know what we're going to be if we're going to be chasing directly after this storm. I mean, looking at everything that had just happened from Helene in Florida and North Carolina and everything, everyone got beat up. That we watched a story about someone in a kayak had to jump out and pull a baby out of the water. So we're all stressing a little, trying to think about what we might be going into. We get to the hotel in the Keys.
Cranky. And this is way too fancy for me. I don't fit in here. Poor sack. I put this redneck in the wrong hotel. I tell you what.
And man, the sky is purple and the palm trees are all whipping around. And I want to head down to the water. So I put on my little poncho and my hat, and I'm going to go play the part of the weatherman who gets sent to the on location, who's holding his hat and fighting the waves in the wind. And yeah, that was fun. So yeah, I spent a good 2 hours on the beach, watching the waves, watching the sky. I meditated for a while. I did a little bit of a workout, and then I just thought about, okay, what are we going into? I have been trained in search and rescue stuff. I've been trained to pull people out of trees, but everything is tree related or wildlife and hiking related. It's not so much like storm and power lines and trees on top of people. So I'm hoping it's not going to be too bad, but I mean, the worse it is, the better the jobs, I guess. I mean, we were prepared for an adventure, but not... Anyways, so in the morning, we kind of made a plan. So we were way down south in the Keys. So we go up kind of close to Miami. We cut across. Oh, man, it was gorgeous driving through. Everglades was obviously closed because the hurricane hit. Everything's flooded. I wanted to stop in Everglades so bad. They had like a little skunk ape research place that I wanted to stop. But of course, that wasn't open either. And I'm going like 30 miles per hour, and I'm just watching the sights and saying, okay, we'll get there when we get there. Traffic is kind of bad because everyone's heading back home after the storm. We passed through Naples. I'm coming up to Fort Myers, and I'm trying to coordinate with everyone. Hey, where are you guys at? We're not even on the same highways. Everyone drove different directions. It's chaos because we don't have a plan. So I said, let's at least meet in Fort Myers, and we'll figure out something from there. And man, Porsche goes ahead, and we had got a hotel in Fort Myers just in case, but we were going to go ahead towards Sarasota, St. Petersburg, where the storm had originally made landfall. Super weird. Yeah, this category 5, category 6 superstorm, as soon as it starts to whisper over land, it just goes and completely fell apart. And it was really weird. It wasn't even like a storm. I mean, if you have ever heard of the Y-Files and you watch anything about HAARP in Alaska, I mean, this has that all over it. If anyone has researched that and knows anything about it, put it in the comments. I would like to know, because this was weird. It wasn't even like a storm. It was like a big baby was hopping from neighborhood to neighborhood and just smashing and throwing tornadoes out, and then kind of fell apart. Super weird. And poor Florida had, I think like just a few weeks before, they had the highest water temperature ever recorded in the Keys was like 101 degrees at one of the buoys, and then they get hit by 2 hurricanes, so like the reefs are probably gone, as most of the reefs worldwide are anyways, which sucks. Um, which is why I'm doing the bus thing. I kind of want to hop on my bus and go see the country before we set it on fire. But, so yeah, we're in Fort Myers and we're heading north, and Shay goes ahead of us, and there's no gas, there's no power anywhere. We were expecting craziness, and it wasn't that bad. So Shay ends up circling around, and he's in line to get gas somewhere. He finally finds some place that has gas, and he calls us, and he's freaking out, saying there's riots at the gas station. Yeah, you know all those stories where it's like Florida man puts a kitten in the sock and beats 6 men to death. Like, yeah, that's true. That's Florida. There's riots everywhere. Any gas tankers that are going around to gas stations have police escorts. Shay says that people are jumping up on top of cars and rioting and stuff. That anytime, yeah, so you're trying to fill up your car, and of course you're gonna have 5 gallon gas tank to fill up because it's an emergency situation. You want to have extra. So he says people are in black hoodies and they'll run and just shove someone on the ground and grab their gas tanks and scatter off. People are using their vehicles to push other cars out of the way to get gas. Nothing like what happens in Texas. Texas, we have like morals and manners, and we're humans. So I don't know. Sorry if I upset anyone, but I mean, look around. So poor Shay gets at this gas station. Someone pushes a car out of the way. He's like, look, I'll just pay for your gas. I just want to get mine. Can we please get through this? The police show up and shut the pumps down right before he gets there. So he ends up having to pull out and sleep in his truck for the night. We had a feeling that it was going to be chaos and we couldn't find gas anywhere. So I said, dude, let's just go back to the hotel in Fort Myers. We'll figure stuff out in the morning. So we're separate. We're driving around. We're going neighborhood to neighborhood. We're trying to find some place where we can get work now, because we were expecting it to be falling apart. And anyone who has a truck and a chainsaw and a few guys with them, this is our competition. Everyone's running around cutting trees and pulling debris. So all of us separately had chainsaws with us, so we're stopping and kind of just doing free stuff. So we're clearing out the road. So there's a tree blocking someone's driveway and they can't get out, and just say, hey, we'll cut it up for you so you can get it out. Don't worry about it. It's not a big enough deal to charge you for. We're just trying to help. We're expecting some bigger contracts. And we're doing this, and we ended up going back to the hotel again in Fort Myers that night. Shay stayed somewhere separate. So the first night, Shay sleeps in his truck. The second night, he gets a hotel. I don't know why they're still charging $100 a night if there's no power and no water. So he stays at a hotel with no power and no water. Poor dude. And then Shay, being the awesome guy that he is, says, you know what? There's a church that has a bunch of trees blown over. We're going to go ahead and do some free work for them. That actually turned out to be a really cool job. Those were some awesome people, super nice. Brought us food, brought us water. So I'm climbing most of the day. We ended up actually coming back to do more work, but so the first day we were doing free work. I think I spent a good like 4 or 5 hours up in the trees. There's a big oak tree that fell over. It had knocked over. They had like a covered walkway. So it fallen on top of that. It's all twisted in the metal. Big oak tree. It had power lines, or not power lines, but power wires for the lights all wrapped around it. So I'm piecing that down, trying not to rip up more of the roof. Climbed several trees in the back. They had some gorgeous trees on the edge of the lake that I flipped over. I have some pictures of those. I spent a good 4 or 5 hours up in the tree. And another funny side tangent story. This is great. Oh man, I actually think I need to grab a beer for this one. Woo! So, Shay spends the first night in the truck. Second night, got a hotel with no water, no power. And then I spent all day climbing in this tree, and he says, okay guys, it's about 9 or 10-ish, I think, by the time we get all our gear set up and ready to go. And he goes, okay, I got a hotel. Hotel's about an hour back this way, but I also rented on hotels.com a sailboat that has 4 beds. It's an hour in the opposite direction. You can pick where you want to go. Adam and Roy, being boat captains, say, hell no, we don't want to spend a night in a boat. We spend way too much time on boats. So I'm going, oh man, I can't pass that up. That sounds like an adventure. Oh man, was I right or wrong? I don't know, whichever way you want to take that. So he says, okay, I don't know where it is. We got to go find it. But it looks like it's on land. It's probably on a trailer because they pulled it out of the water. So I was like, okay, that's less exciting, but still kind of cool. He shows me the pin. So I'm going to relate it to, I go to South Padre Island and tip of Texas a lot, and it's very similar. It's like a little sandbar island, and there's a bridge that connects to it. So when you go across the bridge, and then you're going down, and a hurricane just hit. So there's like 6 feet of dunes in all of the streets, and they have been actively using skid steers and tractors and bulldozers to clear all the roads and push all the sand. So they have sand piles 15, 20 feet high in the parking lots. So I'm like, oh man, there's no power anywhere. They have, the whole area is like quarantined and on curfew, and they have police officers driving around with their flashers on and spotlights, and they're looking for people that are not residents, that are not supposed to be in the area. So I'm like, there's no way there's a sailboat here. There's no way. We're not going to find anything. So we go out. It was actually really gorgeous. We go to Bradenton Beach, and it's like you go out, you're driving this little access road, and then there's just a parking lot off to the side. There's a little line of trees, and then it's the beach. And it's gorgeous. I mean, there's no power anywhere. The stars are so bright. I actually got a pretty clear picture of the stars just from my phone. The moon and the stars are reflecting off the water. They have the little Baywatch station right there. So Shay gets lost, and I'm sitting there probably for like 30, 45 minutes. He finally gets close. He gets pulled over by a cop. He's trying to explain to them, no, I have to go meet one of my employees. We rented a sailboat. And he's like, there's no sailboats out here. So we called this lady, and she had no idea that we had even booked the place. So she goes, okay, can you meet me here? I'll send you a pin. Come out there. So they're like, okay. So we're both driving separate again because we're stupid. So we both drive out. We get to what looked like it probably would have been a pretty nice little trailer park with a marina. But this trailer park is trash. Nobody has roofs. Everything's flipped over. There's trees on top of cars. And, I mean, there's a little dude in front of us with a trailer on the back, and he's hopping out, and he's going through and scavenging. He's taking refrigerators and air conditioners and washing machines and whatever has been thrown out, and he's throwing them on the back of a trailer to go scavenge them, to go, I don't know, what's it called? What's the word? Recycle? Not recycle. When you give it for scrap metal. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this should have been like red flag number 2 or 3 to say, hey, let's turn around and go back to the hotel. But I mean, I'm all in for an adventure. Let's have some fun, whatever. We're already here. I'm not going to drive an hour back in the opposite direction. So we get up to where we're parking. We're meeting this girl, and I'm not going to use her real name. Skinny little white trailer park girl, blonde hair, trucker hat. Very nice. I'm going to call her Stephanie. So Stephanie's there, and she actually has her shit together. She redeems me on this situation, especially after a hurricane. And she says, I'm so sorry I didn't even see that you had booked it. I wouldn't even think to check after the hurricane. But she goes in the back of her car and she says, I'm not really prepared. But then she pulls out this big box, and it's got all her binders and paperwork. And she says, oh, this is for the state of Florida. I need you to sign this. This is to show that you know how to operate the boat. We're going to show you how to operate the little John boat, the dinghy. It has a trolley motor on the back. It's battery operated. We're going to be in one. You're going to be in a separate one behind us. Show that you know how to use it. And then we'll leave. You can have that boat. We'll leave some kayaks out on the sailboat so that you can paddle around in the morning. So I'm like, oh, great. She goes, here are some parking passes to put in the front of your trucks. Most of the trailers are torn up. we're going to have you park over here in front of these two because there's still some residents there. They can keep an eye on your vehicles overnight. So, oh, awesome. She has her stuff together. So we get our cars parked, we get everything situated, we get all our gear out. We head over to the John boat, to the dinghy that we're supposed to go on. It's just a fiberglass shell. It's not even like a boat. It's like they did the first 10 to 15% of let's make a boat and then just said, nah, that's good enough. And there's like a trolley motor duct taped and zip tied to the back of the boat with the lawn chair sitting there. So me and Shay, of course, look at each other and go, oh God, we have to get in that. So we go to get in the boat. And I stepped in a little hard and I'm trying to help Shay get down. And she goes, well, watch out, you might crack the bottom. Okay, and of course the boat starts rocking and she says, don't lean against the side, you'll crack it. All right. So we go, climb through the big dinghy, and then the smaller one is about 5 foot in the back with a little trolley motor. It's a little nicer. So we go to get in that one. Battery's completely dead. Does nothing. I never got this guy's name, but he had like a little redneck helper dude that shows up and he's getting all the batteries set. They say, let's hook up all 3 batteries, make it 36 volt. Maybe we'll have enough power. We'll all get in one boat and just operate that one. So we get maybe 10 feet out before the battery just goes, and we're traveling at the speed of fart, just barely putting along. So she says, it's only about 50 yards out that way. Just grab some paddles. Y'all can paddle. We'll get out there pretty quick. Little redneck dude is cussing out. Fucking Stephanie, I could have been here. Could have stayed at the bar. But no, I had to come out here at midnight to help you go out to a boat. We don't even know if the boat's going to be there. And she says, well, I have 3 boats. One of them is missing. One of them is sunk. We had someone check out the 3rd one this morning. It should be fine. That's the one that y'all are going to be in. Oh, yay. That sounds promising. It was after a hurricane. Should have known. Not harping on her. So yeah, we grab the paddles and we start paddling. And she goes, hey, Nick, can you go stand up on the front and push us off that sunken boat up there? Just stuck. Okay. So I go up to the front of the boat and I'm leaning over and I'm pushing off this boat. And there's a dock on this side and a dock on this side. And then there's a little slips where everyone puts their boats in. And there's like a 40-foot yacht up on the deck on its side. There's a boat sunk in here and the bow is sticking up out of the water. So I'm pushing off that. That pushes off the deck, pushes off another boat. We probably passed by 4 sunken boats, and we come around the edge of the marina, and she goes, well, there's a little mangrove, and then there's a cove, and then there's a mangrove on this side, and then the boat is anchored over here. And a real redneck dude started going, well, damn it, Stephanie, that's not 50 yards. We're going to be paddling all night. We're kind of laughing at this situation, saying, what do we get? Again, this is like red flag number 7. But we just keep trucking along. So we're paddling. We're paddling. For an hour, we paddled. It was half a mile out. 50 yards my ass. Oh, man. So exhausting. So we finally get, as we're coming up to it, it's not even a sailboat. A sailboat has a sail. If it doesn't have a sail, it's not a sailboat. It's like a little 30-foot, I don't know, it's like a little 30-foot boat that has a cap put on it, and then someone put some beds in there. So as we're coming up, Shay goes, it looks like the windows are broken. So I'm going, oh, shit. Okay. So we come up, I tie us off, I hop up. Dude, there's 8 inches of water inside. Brown, nasty water. Everything's moldy, smells like fish. Great. Grand. Yay. So, as soon as I say that, Shay does this. He sits down and starts scrolling through Facebook. And then he's sending me messages, and he's like, dude, I'm sorry. This is a shit show. This was supposed to be like exciting and so much fun. I thought we were gonna sleep in on a sailboat under the stars. And I'm just laughing to myself, thinking like like he thinks he's bad luck and I think I'm bad luck. And this is like his shit tornado meets my shit hurricane to make the perfect storm of shit. And so I'm up on this boat And Stephanie goes inside, and she starts cleaning. Of course, she's taking the blankets out, she's taking the pillows out, she's taking everything moldy and wet. And the little redneck dude finds a bilge pump. I say bilge pump. It's like an aquarium little pond pump, just hooked up to a 9-volt battery. And there was supposed to be batteries on the sailboat that we were going to switch out for the trolley motor, but they're underwater now, so they're not going to work. But she says, hey, I have a generator and a battery charger. Do you want to help bail water while the battery charges? And I'm like, no, not really, I guess. So he's getting the bilge pump, and I'm just kind of hanging out. And he has the little plastic box that the battery sets in. He goes down there and he starts scooping water and coming up and dumping over the side. And he's slipping on the steps. So I'm like, okay, I'll stand at the top. You scoop it, hand it to me. I'll dump this shit over the side. Whatever. Let's do it. I have to wait for the batteries anyways. I'm going to be pissed off if I'm just sitting here doing nothing, and I feel bad anyways. So we're bailing water. It's like for 2 hours? For 2 hours. 2 hours bailed water. It's 3 a.m. at this point. I'm exhausted. Like I said, I spent a good 4 or 5 hours up in trees, climbing and piecing trees down earlier. I'm tired already, and now I'm pissed off. So whatever. We get the water bailed, and we think we have everything set. So we're like, okay, let's get out of here. And then Stephanie goes, hey, can you hand me there's a basket in the back of the boat. Can you hand it to me? In the back of the John boat that we came in. So I go over there and I grab the basket. Okay, I'm looking at it, and it's got like coffee and water and blankets and stuff. And I'm like, okay, here you go. She starts changing the sheets and the blankets and and we're like, what are you doing? And she goes, well, y'all can still stay. I don't want to stay in the moldy, wet, fish-smelling boat. Thank you. I understand it was a hurricane. This is not the best circumstances. I'm not blaming you for anything, but I don't want to be here. Can we get back? I want to go to the hotel. I'm tired. And she's still packing stuff, and a little redneck dude's getting pissed off, and he's like, you don't get in the fucking boat, we're going to leave you. I want to get the shit out of here. Can we go? So we get everything back in the little John boat. And we go to hook up the batteries. And the little redneck dude starts cussing and kicking the side of the boat. He's pissed off, and I'm going, what happened? He goes, I guess when we were bailing water, we got the charger wet. Batteries didn't charge. You fucking... Okay, not a big deal. But when we had paddled out to the sailboat the first time, that was with the wind and with the current. Now we've got to go back against the wind. Oh yay. So again, we grab our paddles, and I'm trying to paddle. And the front of the boat is real tall, so it keeps catching the wind. And it turns us all the way to the left, and then we get it back straight. And then it turns us all the way to the right. So I'm tired of this, so I have to go left side. I get maybe 2 paddles. Going over to the right side, I might 2 or 3 paddles. Left side paddle. And the boat starts rocking. Shay is up in front of me at the bow, where it's worst. I don't know why. But he thinks I'm rocking the boat on purpose just to get him to fall. So he turns around and tries to hit me with the oar. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm going to knock you out. I'm trying to keep us straight. You can sit your ass down. I'm going to paddle. Let me paddle. Let me do my thing. So we're paddling. This takes us probably another hour and a half. I mean, it's taking forever. So tired. We finally get back up. I'm like, I'm not going all the way around this marina again. We're going right here to the beach. I don't give a shit. Y'all can pull the boat out tomorrow. Deal with it later. So I jump out to my knees in the water, pull the boat up. Shay jumps out. We both pull the boat up on the beach. And poor Stephanie gets out, and she gets out of the boat. And she grabs her hair and sits down, and she goes, I'm so sorry. That was a shit show. I don't even know what happened. And I'm just laughing at, like, how is this a real situation that I got myself into? That was the most miserable night, but it was almost worth it just for the story. This is like something from a movie. This is ridiculous. So we're unloading the boat, get everything in the truck. I'm like, thank you, I guess, whatever. Can we go? And Shay starts talking business because this is like a neighborhood. Everyone knows each other. They know all the area. So Shay starts talking, oh, where can we find work? How can we do this? Can you give me some names? Can you give me some areas? Where should we head to next? I'm like, I don't care. Can we just go? I want to get to the hotel, Shay. Can you shut up? So we drive. Still an hour drive to the hotel. We get in 5:30 in the morning. We're supposed to start work at a different job 8 o'clock in the morning. And Adam and Roy are just laughing, and they sit up and like, okay, we want to hear the story. How was the boat? Was it worth it? Oh God. Man, that was ridiculous. But like I said, probably worth it just for the story. So oh man. I think after that we ended up getting called back to the church, and we did another day's work for them. We did a free day the first time, and then we got so much done they called us back and said, hey, we'll pay you for a second day. You guys were awesome. They were awesome too. We got a lot done. Cut down. There were several trees that were just flipped over, so it was mostly just piecing them apart, which, so a lot of the time trees on the ground are way more dangerous than trees standing up. And when you piece off a lot of the top, the roots are under so much pressure that the trunk will stand back up. So if the root ball is here and the tree is here, and I say here, and I'm a good, I don't know, 10 feet off the ground on some of these, 10, 15 feet, and you're cutting them and watching to see if there's movement in the trunk, and then you got to jump off. So it's like rodeo. But it was fun.
We got Roy and Adam here on swamp duty.
Oh man, I think we ended up driving. Okay, so Shay's grandma is 100 years old and she got put into hospice care. He ends up leaving back home to go check on her, and we decided that we drove all around that area. There wasn't much more to do around there. It was in the nice neighborhoods. Everything's already been taken care of. Everyone's driving through the Tampa area. Everyone's already there helping out the area. I mean, I think we drove by where the dump would be, and it was a good mile-long line of everyone has a truck and a trailer, and it's all full of brush. So I said, we're not going to find any tree work here. So let's head on south into some different areas we haven't gone to yet. Try out our luck. Check into a little hotel. I think we spent another 2 days driving around while Shay was gone. And then, so we decided, let's take Sunday off. Man, it's getting windy. So we decided, let's take Sunday off and just go drive around. Let's go look for some gators. We hadn't seen any gators yet. We're in Florida and see no gators. I'm not going to Florida and not going to see any gators. Hell no. So we drive out, decide we're going to go look for some gators. We're going to go to, I think it was Miaka State Park is where we were told by the locals. And of course the state park is closed, so we'll just drive along the highway and find, it was kind of like a big bridge that goes over the water, and then there's some walkways around there. It was gorgeous. There's like 10, 12-foot gators on the side of the bridge, and I think some people were there tossing chicken nuggets or something, and on the drive back. So like I said earlier, I think I said we saw an owl, and I was like, oh, I hope it's not a bad omen. I'm kind of big on reading signs. The universe sends you signs. If you haven't read the book The Alchemist, it's about, as you get older, you start to make compromises and you lose sight of your goals and the path that you're supposed to be on. Not the path that you're supposed to be on, but the path that you're meant to be on. The path that you want to be on. And the universe or God or whatever you believe is sending you signs to either guide you back to this path or to make sure that you stay on it, because that's where you want to be. That's where you're going to be most happy. So this is one of those situations where I think everything came together. I had been thinking before this, I am an arborist and a tree climber. We don't need to just be cutting up whatever trees are falling over. We need to be finding something technical. We have the skid steer, so we either need to utilize the skid steer or my climbing and arborist experience to help and save some big trees. And everything comes together. We're driving through this neighborhood, and Adam goes, holy shit, look at that. This thing is massive. I can't even, I can't even explain how big this thing is. I'll have to put in a picture of Roy standing next to the root ball. Dear Lord, this thing is huge. So it is what's normally called a strangler fig, which I think they're originally from India. There might be some from Australia. There's actually a Florida native species. But it starts off as a strangler fig. So it's an epiphyte. It is like a little parasitic seed that gets stuck in a crack, and it taps into the vascular system of another tree, and it wraps around the tree, and it grows down, and it sends roots to the ground. It's a parasite sucking into the tree until the roots touch ground, and that could take several years. But once the roots touch ground, it becomes its own established tree, and it doesn't need to parasitize anymore. So this thing is, I think the client had told us, it's 19 different trunks all ramped around each other. It is crazy. It is the coolest looking tree I've seen. It's in the, if you've seen the new Jungle Book where they're having the big battle in the tree and it's on fire and he's running from Shere Khan, that's a strangler fig. As they get older and established, they're called the banyan tree.
See, this whole swamp is actually just one tree spread out over miles. Branches spread, then sink and take root, and then spread some more. One big living organism, just like the entire world.
I think the client had said that this one is a species from Australia, which means that it's an invasive species. It's also a parasite. His is grandfathered in. It was like 90 years old. And he had said, so most people don't know, if you have a big enough or old enough tree, a lot of the time they can add 30, 50 grand or more to property value. He had said that when they originally bought the house, the tree alone appraised at over 100 grand. So I'm like, this tree is worth it. There's no way insurance isn't going to cover this tree. But sometimes you can't really pitch that to an insurance company because they don't care about saving the tree. Which doesn't make sense to me because it adds so much property value. That's like having a guest house next to your house. It is worth it in itself. That usually makes the property. If you have a tree like that, that makes the entire property worth it. So I'm walking around, and in Florida, everyone has a screened-in porch or a screened-in pool. So I'm walking around, so I didn't see him. He was inside his screened-in porch, and he's barbecuing, and I'm looking at this tree, and it's huge. So most of the time when a tree flips over in a storm, the root ball is all torn up and gnarly, and there's no way that you can stand most trees back up. But this thing it's like I said, the universal line. This is the perfect scenario of the root ball is completely flat. It's a banyan tree, so it's used to being in mangroves. It's used to having exposed roots. It's in sand. It's in sandy soil. So if we can reduce the weight and get everything off of one side away from the house to where it's not going to tear up the roof, if we can get a crane or a tractor or something to stand it back up, but we might not even need that. I'm thinking if we can get enough weight, it's standing at about a 45 and it's on its own branches that have snapped and they're kind of jayed up. So if we can get enough weight, it might start to tip itself back up. And I maybe I can reiterate this, and I should have explained it a little better, but I was still lost in thought and trying to process this thing. And then he sees me and he starts yelling through the screen, "Oh, sorry, no, we already had several tree companies come out. We don't want to remove it." And I break out into a big smile, and I'm like, "Has anyone?" And he's like, "What's the smile for?" And I was like, "I think we can save it." And he immediately drops what he's doing. He comes outside. He was grilling, so he comes outside. I'll call you back later. So he comes outside, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure how we can work this out with insurance because it's so huge. It's over the neighbor's house. It's over his house. It's over the neighbor's pool. It's such a big tree. It's probably close to a 100-ton tree. I don't even know. It's huge. I told him at the time Shay still wasn't there, so it was just me, Adam, and Roy. So our operating costs with all of us there and the skid steer is about $2,500 a day. So I told him, so I was thinking, with just three of us, Adam and Roy are mostly going to be hanging out. I don't want them under me while I'm cutting down and piecing this tree back. So if we just do 2 days of climbing to see if we can reduce the weight, maybe the tree will stand itself back up. We'll go from there. I think we can do that for $4,000 is what I originally told him. I should have explained more so that, like, if we end up having to bring in a crane or some bigger equipment, it's going to take more to stand that tree back up. And then we're going to have to put in a cable and bracing and anchoring system, put in some stakes to try and make sure the tree is, so it's not going to go anywhere, which you can never guarantee that a tree is not going to fall over. I don't care if it's a fully established tree, you can never guarantee that it's not going to fall over, even if it's in perfect condition. But we originally said, most likely, we're going to have to remove the tree. But like I said earlier, when a tree is on its side, all those branches are under so much stress and pressure from all different sides that when you cut something, it could stand back up, or something's going to pop or fling something off. So it is easier if you can get the tree back up to piece it down that way. So I said, let's stand it back up. I'll piece it down. I'll remove the weight. We'll see what happens from there. And I think he said 12 different tree companies had told him, oh, no, that's not possible. So I was like, oh, it's definitely possible. I've seen it done before. I worked for a millionaire at a ranch in Texas who owns, I don't know, 200,000 acres worth of ranches. He had 5 different ranches all over Texas. We did some crazy stuff. I think they had helicopter flown a tree and lifted it into the backyard. Some crazy stuff. But, so it took me 2 days of piecing this tree down, and Shay had talked to the client, and we decided, oh, we're probably going to need a crane. We're going to need a crane in here. And it turns out that everyone in Florida are walking. So we called the crane company. I was thinking we probably need a 100-ton crane just to be safe. Shay said, no, we can probably get a 60-ton crane. They send out a 40-ton crane. He gets out there and looks at it and goes, no, it's too hard. I can't do it. It's going to break my crane. And I said, the tree is at a 45 degree. You don't have to lift it. And he's like, oh, we have to lift it and cut the roots and pick it up and set it back down straight. No, the tree is leaning. You pull it a little bit, it'll stand and set itself. Nothing's going to, whatever. We tried calling a wrecking company. I tried calling the big tow trucks with the cable winch to pull 18-wheelers. And the lady on the phone said, no, honey, we tow trucks. We don't tow trees. Well, no shit. It doesn't matter. Weight is weight. You only have to pull it a little bit. Like I said, it might only need 3 or 4 feet of movement before the weight of the tree itself finishes off the job. No, they're too scared to try. So, of course, the client being used to Florida workers, I think he even said the second day, I didn't think you guys were going to show back up. Nah, we Texans. We Texas boys. We're going to get it done. We're going to do what we need to. So I spent a good 2 days of climbing and piecing down stuff. And I had told the guys before, if I'm up in the tree and you hear the chainsaw start, or if I yell, heads up, that means get out of the way. Something's about to fall. Shit's going to be flying. Branches are going to be swinging. I'm trying to make sure it's not hitting the neighbor's house. So I'm tying off ropes and swinging branches away and dropping them down. And they finally realized that, yeah, when I say heads up, that means move, you could die. These are some big, heavy branches. And this thing it's squirting and juicing all over the place. You make a cut with a chainsaw and it drips everywhere. The sap is sticky. The sawdust sticks to the sap. I think every 10 minutes I had to stop and use a scraper to scrape all this gunk off the chainsaws. It was nasty. Such a pretty tree, but holy crap was it nasty to cut. But yeah, crane bales. So we're thinking, this is gonna. I originally thought it might take 6 hours of piecing just down the one side. We'll flip it back over, use the weight of the tree to help us flip it, and then I'll reduce this side, cut everything back, and leave some stubs so that the tree can regain itself, because it has a compromised root system now. So we want to piece back some of the canopy to help even that out. So instead of 6 hours, it's 2 days of climbing. And after the crane bailed, we're like, I don't know if this is going to be possible anymore, but we're going to give it our best try. So we get this thing all pieced back. And I originally had planned to, whenever we get everything set with the rope and we're going to pull on it, I wanted to get the drone in the air to get a good shot of this thing coming up, because it is huge. It is so cool. Very, very rarely do you actually get to reset a tree like that and have it actually be a viable option. We had the whole road blocked off because we had to get the skid steer into the street, but we stood this tree up with the chainsaw and the skid steer.
Huh?
Go, 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 go!
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, we get this tree stood back up, and people on the street are screaming, driving by, and that was badass. The client turns around and runs across the yard, gives me a big hug. He's teary-eyed, saying, "Oh, this tree has been part of the neighborhood, and I have my cup of coffee, stand to this tree every morning. You don't understand what this means." I get it. I understand like that, and that moment was something for all of us. That was awesome. It was worth it for that trip. And so this guy, he makes and repairs bikes. So he goes back inside and he comes back out. He gives me a bike. He gives me a custom-made bike.
Puro pinche 956 represent weight.
Now, when it comes to like a big tree like that, to fully understand, like I said, it's a strangler pig that grows into a banyan tree. And this is one of those things to where like science doesn't take away from the beauty of the thing. It only deepens it. Once you can understand the life cycle of this tree, that only makes the whole situation deep. I had the thought, and I'm talking over with the client. I'm not sure. Ooh, actually, I had ordered some seeds. I'm gonna see, but if there is, I think he said this is a variety from Australia, and he was originally, or he lived in Hawaii for a while, and over there they're like sacred trees. So if there's a Florida native species, as long as the root system is still strong enough, the canopy that I cut from those, it no longer has leaves to drive its vascular system, so it's not going to be pulling anything from the roots. So I had originally thought, or I guess I'm not originally, I just recently thought, wherever I cut the trunk back, if we can bore a hole in and implant a native strangler fig into that we want it to parasitize, right? We want it to start pulling from that and reactivating the root system. I'm not sure if all of the roots are going to be grafted together and helping each other. So if we have a new planted strangler fig, will it start pulling through that vascular system and re-engaging the roots? But I don't know how much that tree can actually handle if we would be stressing it out more. If someone's a little smarter than me, but maybe put it in the comments, a little smarter than me, and you understand this. But man, it was gorgeous. And I guess if you have been here this long and you're getting all the way to the end of the video, maybe I should talk a little bit about what this channel's, I guess not what it's going to be about, because I guess it's going to be about whatever the hell I want it to be about. Like, this is going to be story time, but I want this to be kind of an adventure channel. I'm definitely going to dabble into some mental health stuff. So I guess we're gonna do some adventure stuff. I'm gonna go on some rides on the wheel, on the dirt bike. I have a paramotor. We'll probably do some flying videos for that. Tucker got me inspired, if you know him. We're gonna do some tree stuff. Like I said, I was a wildlife biologist, so we might be just traveling around and taking some contract jobs. But like I said, I've been wanting to do this for years. I just never worked up the courage to put out a video. So sorry if this video sucks. Tell me I'm terrible in the comments. But like, if you're gonna bash me in the comments, at least be more constructive with your feedback. Just, you know, to apply to the Concord reference in there. Just tell me how to make it better. Like, I'm probably gonna suck at the editing. I'm probably gonna be weird talking to the camera here. But, you know, I got my office set up. Look how professional I am. So, we'll see where it goes from here. I guess I'm gonna end it on that. I've got an hour of recording here. Looking enough to shut this down. But, you know, see you when I see you. Have a good one.